Chris LaCharity, welcome to the It's Not That Deep podcast, man.
Thank you. Glad to finally be here. It's been a while.
100%, man. I met you over a year ago, and we've been trying to kind of make this happen since. We've been waiting for the book to come out and all the stars to align, but sitting here in your beautiful house, and we're getting this thing popping, man. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, man. Let's take it back from the beginning, man. For people who don't know, you are a luxury real estate sales representative. You're crushing it. And when I say luxury, these are like the top 1% of homes in Ottawa and around. You've just been crushing it. You've built a really good career out of selling badass homes. And, you know, we could link some below, and we'll have his website and everything available. But I mean, you built a hell of a career, man. First of all, congratulations.
Thanks. It's a hell of an intro.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a team. We do it all from rentals to multi-million-dollar homes, but that's my specialty, is the luxury stuff. I like it for many reasons. Tony, who you know well, when I first started hanging out with Tony, or well, maybe not even, but years ago, he used to deflect a lot of attention he gets in public and say, this is my buddy who sells only $1 million plus homes. And I'd say, oh, no, it's not true, because I didn't want to miss out on that everyday bread and butter stuff. And then after a while, I just owned it.
Yeah.
And then I just focused on it. And I got to give him credit in so many ways. This book, I mean, we'll go on
100%.
later about it.
I'm sure we'll dive into that a lot. But let's take it like kind of even further back from that, man. Let's talk about, why did you even get into real estate? What was it about real estate that fired you up? Why?
I don't know. It seems like a path that just subconsciously pushed me there. So I took business in college and just felt that sales was my thing. Loved cars. Started out with Mercedes on Vancouver Island. Came back here. Not to plug Marilyn Wilson, but she was my client. She did high end. She convinced me. Actually, her husband, who's a real gem of a guy, car guy, we bonded. He's
like, forget cars.
Yeah, well, I just saw
houses.
that. Once I went to their house and saw their life, you can't get that in cars unless you own the place. So that drew me, but it's not just the money, it's the rush of the deal and the people that you meet and being around luxury homes. For me, doing the same thing every day, if it was like cookie cutter style homes, it's a great living, but I see some awesome stuff. So yeah,
that's
that
what fired
just
you out about it. Like, you're just like, I want the bigger, better, like, grand.
Yeah, to me it didn't seem like work.
Exactly.
So,
okay.
I mean, it does now at times.
Yeah.
But it's addictive. I mean, and that's been the secret sauce, is just being all in 100% and not even realizing how much I'm working.
Right.
Because it's awesome.
With that being said, you like these big grand homes, you like all this, you know, the kind of bigger, better, faster life. Like, that's kind of what attracted you, you know, from going to the cars to now the home. So, but does that mean, like, when you got into that, you really did just start selling higher ticket homes? Like, or was there like a progression? Like, you got to kind of get your hands dirty a little bit?
Yeah, I seem to have the reverse. I got to start right at the top, and that's, you know, who I was associated with, my car clients being high end, and just going right into that. So I got a taste of it early on. So
right. So so I guess it's safe to say then that your network is really your net worth. Like, you're like living proof of that, you know, it's not really what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, it's a t-shirt for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And I can see that, man. That's an amazing thing. So what made you, you know, even taking it back to cars, what made you good at selling them? What made you, like, what was it about sales that just kind of, I could do this, I'm good at this?
I think actually liking them, having the passion. So if I believe in it, I could sell it. If this was garbage, I can't really sell it to you. So a lot of people have said to me over the years, usually younger people, oh, well, they associate salespeople with maybe dishonesty. They use used car salesman aspect. To me, it's the polar opposite. If I lose your trust, or if I lie to you once, you know, you're never going to trust me again. So I can't veer off that path. So if my goal, or without even noticing, is to gain your trust. And the sooner I do that, the sooner I can sell you something.
Absolutely. And if there's anything I've learned in my short stint, but I am, like, you know, running my own business now, is that because I used to have that mindset. I grew up thinking that, sales is like sleazy, or it's, gross, or, I almost, even me myself, even though I believed in what I was selling, I felt like, is there something like off here? But then having that mindset shift and realizing that actually it's my duty, if I believe in what I'm like, actually selling, to bring that to people with a solution. And someone told me this amazing way to put it once. It was like, if you had the cure for cancer, and you had it, and I know that's, an extreme example, but if you had the cure for cancer, would you not want to bring it to as many people as possible? And so it's like almost your duty to do so. It's the same thing with sales.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So, but what was it then about the, selling Mercedes, like, that you're like, you know what, this is the best car, I do believe in this, and you need this in your life?
Well, I'd like to say that was a goal I set out to do, but it wasn't really. I remember applying at every car dealership on Vancouver Island. I think I was 21. And I went to a Ford dealership, and the manager said, oh, selling cars is like boxing. You don't fight Mike Tyson first. So it's just like diminish, throw out the door. That same day, I had a real rapport with the manager at Mercedes. And then I felt like I went from, not that there's anything wrong with Fords, but I felt like that lack of motivation pumped me up for the next interview. Maybe it was the next one, the third one, so long ago, I don't remember. But whatever connection we had at Mercedes just made me feel like it just went from there. Like it's just, you're starting at the top, and your mindset, it's all mindset. It's like you said, if you think you are dishonest or coming across as sleazy, you got to shift that. If you think that you're not good enough, you're not big enough, it's a total mind shift.
Yeah, 100%. And I can totally see that even in myself, because like you're talking about the mindset, leveling up your mindset is one of the big things. And I'm sure, you address it in your book. So why don't we talk about this book real quick?
Sure.
Yeah. 7 Figures to Success. I mean, you've definitely gotten to that level. Now let's talk about what made you want to write a book about it.
Total journey, and just again something that just landed in my lap. Tony again, just a lot of avenues.
Shout out to Tony Greco for those listening. We'll definitely talk about him. I got a whole section in mine we'll talk, but yeah.
So he did a book. The publisher was positive. He's of course positive. She convinced me I had a book in me, and it was a little daunting, because the whole premise of the book was to create a goal, commit to the book, and accomplish that goal while writing the book. So talk about pressure.
Yeah. You got no choice but to succeed.
And you tell everyone what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so that's what got me out of bed every day, to really say, like, where am I for the year? Where am I going? How am I going to do this? Did I fall off the rails of self-doubt? Of course. There's so many things. So I try and talk about that in the book and keep it very honest. But it's more, I wouldn't say it's old school, but it's like hammer it out and get it done. It's not, I don't have any breaks in life. It's just hard work. So
and for the short time that I have known you, that's what you've always been about, man. I've never seen you not on the phone. Actually, this is probably the longest I've had a conversation with you without 20 phone calls, and they're coming. It's just your phone's on silent, because you are always hustling. And Tony has even told me, you are working till like 11, 12 at night, picking up calls, dealing with stress. And that's kind of something that I wanted to talk to you about. We'll definitely like dive a bit deeper on some other things, but I wanted to talk about like your management of that stress. How do you deal with such a high pressure job and putting these, more and more on top of that, to kind of reach?
Yeah, it's tough. It's a daily struggle to this day. I mean, I can't tell you I have it all figured out. And to me, and most people around me that are in this business, I find they're people pleasers. And people can be, you really get to know someone when you're selling their house. So the worst or the best can come out of them.
Okay.
So you can take a lot of abuse on the road, and during the day when you come home, you're a little battled and beat up.
Yeah. Well, walk me through some of that stuff, man. like if whatever you can share, what are some of those lowest of lows that, brings it out? I mean, when you're dealing with 7-figure valued properties and things inevitably go wrong. How are you dealing with that? What goes wrong and how do you deal with it?
Well, for me, I always try to portray myself as if I'm not stressed. I don't have any personal problems. I'm bringing nothing to the table but the deal.
Right.
So, which I think is great, but at the same time, they forget you're a human being. Maybe you do have to be home by 9, 10, or 11. Maybe you can't work 7 days a week. Maybe you want to take advantage of this nice day. So if you put off your friends, family, girlfriends, whatever, to live life later, that's the mistake. That's what I'm just figuring out now, 16 years in. So that's the next book, is the balance. And I don't think there's balance without organization. But to answer your question, people could just, you could, lay your jacket across a puddle, so to speak, and do everything for them, red carpet service. But if one of your team members or yourself slips up in any way, the stuff that can come out of their mouth is just unreal. And they talk to you like they pay you. Well, I pay you for this. Well, actually, they don't. You're doing it pro bono, pulling off a miracle and taking a cut of this astronomical number. You said it was worth 2.5. Well, okay, but we want 2.7, and then you achieve it, but you forgot to send an email that you thought you would, that you said you would send because you're with someone else, and now you're dirt.
Yeah.
So that could be extreme, but it could be. Sometimes it's a lot of times it's not the money. If someone gave you some praise to say, we noticed how hard you worked and like you killed it for us and you cared, that's like, that could make your day where you say, okay, I'm back, I'm sticking with this. This is my job, I kill this, like I'm born for this. But if someone hits you the wrong way, it's just the money is secondary for sure.
Well, and I think you brought something really big up there, and it's almost like detachment from the outcome is what, like, if you were this perfect stoic person who just never let anything in, good or bad, that's the ultimate, way to just reach the pinnacle of success, is like not being attached to like whether this home sells or not, or whatever. But the thing is, it really does matter for you if the home sells or not. Yeah. So you are somewhat attached to the outcome, whether you want to be or not. And then with that being said, the buyers, the sellers, everyone, it's just such an emotional process that on paper you might be a real estate, like sales representative. You might be working in sales, but you're someone's therapist. You're taking care of you're doing design, you're doing administrative, you're wearing like 50 different hats in a day. Yeah. And so, you definitely talk about, you have a team and you have people that are going to help you out, but even managing them is a whole job. So what's that like on top of your duties already?
Good question. Yeah. If I have a talent, it's listing and selling. My talent isn't, well, as you know, Instagram, marketing, advertising dollars. What should I be doing? These calls come into me all day, so it's crazy. But you got to stay relevant. And then your team, whether they're available, what you pay them. Yeah. Do they have the same? Do they want
to go on vacation?
Yeah.
Do they want to do this?
Do they want to work evenings and weekends?
Yeah, exactly.
Do they have the same standard? Luckily, I have my sister who works with me, and she cares. Yeah. And she puts up with a lot, because I can lose my mind a lot too. And my standard is, I want everything perfect.
Right.
And I know it doesn't exist, but I strive for that.
Right.
And to me, business is personal, and I also find it extremely embarrassing if we drop the ball, because we're presenting ourselves with this high standard. Right. So if we make some rookie mistake, I want to dive into a ditch somewhere. I'm just so appalled.
Well, it's a reflection on you, and you have built something up for so long that it's just like, you don't get it. I don't care about whatever money I'm making off this. It's actually my reputation. Yeah. And that's way more important. You can't really put a dollar sign on that.
For sure. And referrals, if someone refers you someone, you have to knock it out of the park every time. Yeah. You just mess up once, and then that whole ripple effect goes the opposite way.
Yeah, actually, I never thought about that. I always think about positive referrals, because I just have this ultra belief that, I'll deliver. Yeah. I'm not worried about not delivering. Yeah. But it could happen. It happens to anybody, you know what I'm saying? For sure. And that people talk, and you could have lost a lot of business. I see it happen with a lot of people, where it's like you piss one guy off, and he tells his 10 close buddies, and then you just lost. You know what I'm saying? So it's actually almost, it's more amazing that you've been able to build what you built. It's like a run that you've been on. It's like a streak. It's like, you know, how many years have you been doing this now?
16. But
16.
As you say that, colleagues of mine, we just talked about this the other day, we still feel like we're a flash in the pan. Like you feel like it could end tomorrow.
Right.
So there's always an anxiety. There's an anxiety to get there. There's an anxiety when you're there. How am I going to keep this up? Every January 1st, you start from zero. It's not like, oh, you make $1 million a year, every year, and that's your salary. No, you make nothing.
Yeah.
You start from zero. So it's hard to...
But is that what motivates you? Is that one of the things, that anxiety, is that one of the things that drives you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I tried years ago, before all this, before real estate, to more of a 9-to-5 sales job, and you know, knowing what I'm going to make and budgeting that for the rest of my life, and trying to me, it's not my mentality. I need the unknown, the uncertainty, superstardom versus bankruptcy, somewhere in there.
Dude, the
just
highs
makes
and lows
me high.
of that, though, it's like most people can't fathom or deal with that uncertainty, that day-to-day uncertainty, right? And
Makes you feel alive.
that's kind of what I was gonna say. You mentioned it to me before, the rush. You know, it's like you experience this rush of you know, when you're doing these massive deals, so much has to go right. It's almost like I equate it almost to like a sports team going to the Super Bowl. So much has to go right for you to, all the preparation, all the unpaid work, all the hours, all the grind. And then when you do close, when you do win that Super Bowl, that's when you can be like, man, let's go. Yeah. Like, you know, you could.
Yeah. But the key is to do more of that, though, to celebrate the wins. That's a mistake of mine, too.
Right. So you don't do that enough, you say?
No.
Interesting. Because, you know, it's very easy. I don't know you that well, but it's very easy to think, you know, you're a very work hard, play hard type of guy. It's like, you know, you got this big ass mansion yourself, you got the cars, you got the toys, you know, always, you know, doing something big. But that's also then social media and stuff like that. People don't see the other 99% of the time. So talk to me about celebrating the wins then. What do you do differently from what you've done before?
Well, that's something I have to work on still. I mean, COVID sucks because you can't travel. So traveling, getting out of your bubble is the only way. Because if you're here, your phone's going off, you're not there, you're not in the moment. So to really get away from it and have it set in, just, you know, where you came from. I'm just a kid from Chelsea who, you know, my teachers told me I wouldn't amount to anything. So I have a coach who, same thing, Brian Buffini, and he has a private jet, and he says about his English teacher that always said that, God bless her, I love flying over her house with my private jet. So it's not quite there, but there's a little bit of that, like it's a pat on the back.
Shoulder.
But as I was telling you before when we were talking, it's all kind of hollow. That's not what it's about. So doing all that work to get there and realizing, geez, that didn't feel half as good as I thought it would. You know, not that I don't appreciate it, but life passes you by when you're hustling at that rate, and you got to figure out why you're doing it. And when you get there is when you realize, why am I doing it? What's the next step, and what's life all about? So now purpose is huge for me. What's my purpose? What am I going to do?
Absolutely.
You know, what's the meaning behind it all?
This is big. This is big. And I think this is a topic that, you know, people glaze over when they're so obsessed with an outcome, I have to reach these goals, I have to do X. If I get this, then I will be happy.
I'll worry about it later.
I'll worry about it later, you know, that mentality. And I've seen so many people, you know, who have reached milestones that are insane. Like some of the biggest things you could possibly accomplish in human existence. Be like, this ain't it. Like, there's more. There's something
they're
else.
Still working.
They're
you always
still
wonder
learning.
why.
Yeah, they make $100 million. They want $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not about like, I don't think you ever, and this is something I'm finding, man, is like, I don't think you ever like arrive at like a destination where it's just like, I won, I got it all, whatever. That has to come from within. You have to actually do that kind of work internally, whether you have all the stuff or not. You know what I'm saying? And that has to be, someone told me once, like, if you can't be happy without money, you won't be happy with money. And obviously, money can solve a lot of problems. A lot of people's problems are directly tied to money. I'm not talking about going from being in poverty and eating ramen noodles to making like, 80K.
Yeah.
I'm talking, that 150 to 250. What's really the difference? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so at that point, now you got to like start doing what you're talking about, figuring out your why. What is your why? What are you trying to do? And so how are you trying to do that now? Like what kind of strategies are you embarking on to kind of figure that purpose, that kind of stuff out now?
Well, instead of reading books on how to get wealthier, that's all I ever read.
Yeah.
These types of books that I just wrote.
Yeah.
But I would read more like these ones you saw, Eckhart Tolle, the monk who sold his Ferrari, Robin Sharma.
Yeah.
So those are spinning it the other way and making you realize what the hell's going on and are you present? And as simple as that may sound, I'm noticing all the time when I'm not present, and you start leaving the now. Now is all we have. So not to get to that depth with them, but it's just so true. So
100%.
what I say to people that are striving, how am I going to get there? How am I going to do it? Or they compare themselves to someone of great wealth. Usually someone of great wealth is considerably older than you and I. And that person of great wealth and knowledge would trade places with you and I in a second. So that's also another way how I overcome any intimidation walking into some multimillionaire's house. Sometimes I think, why am I a little nervous for this listing? Well, it's because it's so-and-so. But there's nothing to be nervous about. If you stripped us of all our worldly possessions and threw us naked in a snowbank, they're going to look to me to save them. Yeah. I'm more physically the alpha male than that person. So that makes me realize, the hierarchy of importance that society puts on us is kind of irrelevant.
I couldn't have said it any better, man. And it's really reframing that thought in that way where it's like, okay, what really matters?
Yeah.
What is it really that, everyone's in constant chase. It's a constant, even the 9-to-5ers, even people who are, whatever it is, it's status games.
Yeah. You get caught up in that stuff too.
It's so easy to, you know what I'm saying? The Monk Who Got His Fry, I haven't read that book. It's been
me neither yet, actually.
It's been recommended to me a lot. But he probably had a Ferrari, and someone probably had an even better model. And it's it's an endless chase. And I think The Power of Now, I think that's another book that's in this whole category. And I'm trying to learn about this stuff now because I know I'm going to be extremely wealthy.
Yeah.
I already won.
I know you are too.
I know I'm going to do some incredible things in my life.
Yeah.
But those aren't actually the things that drive me. Obviously, I want to be rich. Obviously, I want, financial freedom. Obviously, I want freedom of relationships, time, money, health, wealth, everything. I want that all, right? Mm-hmm. But it's this happiness thing that everyone talks about, right? And I think I really try to deconstruct that. People who are happy, what do they have that people that are not have? And it's just that. It's that mindfulness. It's that ability to be in the now. And I know it sounds so woo-woo, and it sounds so I know a lot of people will dismiss this stuff right away. But for me, I've had to kind of go within and figure out a lot of things in my brain, a lot of self-limiting beliefs that I had personally around money, around relationships, around all kinds of stuff that I had to kind of unwind and work on. And now I'm realizing, okay, that financial freedom, that's important. Absolutely. And I'm not telling people go be a monk and just go sit in a, mountain and just start meditating.
Right.
But that other thread, that happiness thing, that's something that you got to work on just as much as, all these collection of things and accolades and goals and whatnot. You actually do have to figure out, well, what is it that actually makes me happy? Not him, not her, not
totally.
Not what's going to impress this person, or how can I flex on this, do this or that. It's no, what actually, have a conversation with yourself. What actually fires me up? What gets me going? What wakes me up in the morning? And the only thing that did that for me, Chris,
What's that?
Fucking pen and paper, dude. Sit down and just be alone with your thoughts and literally write it down.
Yeah.
And just work it out with yourself. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Because me currently, I'm working a 9-to-5 job. I have a 9-to-5 job. I know that's not making me happy. I'll say it here, I'll say it. But I know that I'm not wired for that, right?
Yeah.
But it's paying my bills and this and that. But then what will? Okay, well, this is an equation of time, right? I want to open up my time and have freedom to do whatever I want whenever I want, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now that's also an equation of money. Okay, so how do I get that? Okay, boom, figured that out. Okay, what else do I need? Okay, well, I want blah, 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 blah. Writing this shit down. Before it was just like, oh, I need to get rich.
Yeah.
That's the only answer. Once I get rich, then I'll be happy. And see, that like anxiety is what so many people get caught in. And not to go off on these crazy tangents.
The fact that you have that knowledge now, I don't know how old you are. You've told me.
24.
Yeah,
24.
That's crazy. So I wish I talked like that at 24. You should have heard me. I was cocky. I was arrogant. And I was wrong. I thought it was about something else.
Absolutely.
You always think you're happy. You're having a good time.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, totally. What makes you happy, not everyone else.
Absolutely.
That's what society's problem is.
I think it's an identity thing.
Yeah.
I think so many people get wrapped up in what is my identity? Who am I?
Yeah.
And what can I portray to the world? What are they going to think when they see my social media or my new car or my new this or that?
Yeah.
What's this girl going to think if I wear, this brand? Subconsciously, these are all these things that we've been kind of programmed to think, right?
Sure.
And so even through this podcast, I've seen, like, I'm learning from all these people who have done amazing things and other people who have done amazing things in, like, terms of their mind and stuff. And so just learning these kinds of tips, I'm like, okay, avoid that, do more of that. So like for people listening, something I started doing was meditating. And I used to think it was complete, like, what are you talking about? I'm going to meditate. I'm a fucking football player. I'm an athlete. I know how to get in the zone. I don't need to sit and breathe, right? Started doing it every day for 10 minutes. That's it. That's all I do. And it's made a dramatic impact. I'm just a more calm dude. Even when shit's hitting the fan, even when business things are not going right, even when blah, 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 things are on fire, you can ask anybody. I'm just like a more calm, zen dude. And, I'm doing things like affirmations now. I don't know if you've heard of those.
Yeah, of course.
But, saying things out loud and actually believing them, because your brain does not know the difference between you saying something that may not even be true or you just saying it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your brain will believe it. And so anyways, I'm going off on this crazy tangent. Let's bring it back to everything that you're about now, man, because people listening now, they want to know about real estate. They want to know about, okay, what is it that sets you apart from a normal real estate agent or someone who's just, either investing in real estate or selling it? What sets you apart in terms of, what you're able to do in this field?
There's I think there's 3,300 agents, although I've been saying that for years in Ottawa.
Probably more now, man.
Yeah, and everyone has their thing, and that's the great part. You could be a great agent in any aspect of the field. You could have whatever image you want, slick suit wearing, shorts and a t-shirt, whatever. There's a lot of people I notice that figure it's about the image, which I don't think it is, but being able to build a network and retain that network and being relational instead of transactional, I think is huge. So the rest will take care of itself. So if you're transactional, you're constantly pumping out flyers or whatever your thing is. Flyers might be dating myself a bit, but if you're doing that, as soon as you stop, your business is over.
Right.
But if you're building a network of people that you keep in contact with, you've given them outstanding service, they give you referrals, that's a business that's growing and growing, and you could stop doing all the advertising and so on. It just keeps coming.
Right.
But my phone rings to this day. If I'm having a day where I haven't booked anything, and then someone calls and a lead just comes in for a massive listing or even any type of listing, I'm totally flattered. I mean, that's the ultimate sort of fruits of your labors, if you will, that you're doing something that pays off. So, and I'm sure a lot of people do it, but what I would bring to the table differently is just, my network, my knowledge, my perseverance. I mean, there's just half the time the seller's my biggest roadblock. I'm dealing with that right now in an extreme case. So they'll be so negative. Oh, there's no way this house will sell for $3 million. Oh, the sky's falling. The economy sucks. We've missed the boat. You'll never get it. And then you get an offer. And usually an offer on a house that's $3 million, lately it seems, is $500,000 under. So I'm happy to be showing up with $2.5 million in my hand. And the seller wants to tell me to go screw myself.
Yeah.
So then I have to like spend all my energy to say, just give me a counter.
Yeah.
Give me $100,000, counter at 2.9 and watch me go.
Yeah.
Here's 6 examples I've done in the last 3 months. And it just goes over their head. And they either won't give you one or they'll say, don't counter at full price or $5,000 off. In the book, it tells you that's the total opposite of what you should do. So you could walk away and think, oh my God, my career sucks. Why did I get into this? Or realize that we always have job security because people don't know how to do this. This is an art. Sales is an art. And I'm sorry for the people that get in it that think that they could just discount or whatever and become successful. You got to hone your skills on that sales aspect of the business. To me, that's huge. So sales is key.
I think that's a very, very big point and something that I'm learning, even running my own business now.
Yeah.
If I strip anything else aside, all you can take everything else away. The only thing that matters at the end of the day is sales. And I hate that it's true because I don't think I'm natural at sales, but I do think that it's something that you get better at by putting reps in. And I'm finding on cold calls and just being on the phone and just getting more comfortable and not being so dependent on getting a yes, I'm getting more yeses. And like I'm learning so much more about just listening more. Like that's a big thing.
That's a huge
like,
one.
I used
Two
to
ears, one mouth. That's huge.
Exactly. I used to think I have to sell.
Yeah.
I have to convince these people to do business with me, right? And what a flawed mentality. Now it's just like if someone's calling me, I already know they want to work with me.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, okay, like, how can I help you? Like, what do we like? How like what's going on? Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then they're shutting up.
Yeah.
Just shut up. That's like one of the biggest things I've learned. So what are some of your like legit practical tips? Whether it be selling multi-million-dollar mansions or selling cars or something smaller, what are some tips for sales that you can give people?
Well, you touched on one that reminded me of something. So a classic sales move would be to say your piece. So say you come at me with something and I counter.
Yeah.
So I tell you, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're coming back at this price, and these are the reasons why. So if I'm saying that to a client or even another agent, because that's who you're negotiating with, you lay your cards on the table, you tell your spiel, and then you shut up. And then they say, I learned that in car sales, he who speaks first loses. Right. So that uncomfortable silence, a lot of people throw in a giggle, something that shows they're not confident with what they just threw out there.
Yeah.
So if you could throw it out there with confidence and just sit back and wait. I remember teaching that to a young guy who worked for me, and I had a woman across my desk. And I told him, she's very difficult to deal with. I'm going to lay it out there. Don't say a thing. That uncomfortable silence was probably a minute and a half, which seemed like an eternity. And he was wringing his fingers through his hair. He was pacing by my desk. He couldn't handle it. Yeah. Now, in that case, turns out she won. she was crazy aggressive. Yeah. But usually, it's an uncomfortable thing.
Oh, dude, I experienced this, and at first, my first idea was, I'm just gonna help people only run their podcasts. And I didn't even really fully even believe that anyone would pay me X amount of dollars to do this. I didn't even fully believe it. So already I'm fucked. But then now I'm getting on the phone with people trying to convince them that, hey, like, yeah, you need a podcast, And someone told me, like a coach that I know, he told me, he's like, well, what you need to do is you need to go in the mirror, look at yourself dead in the eye, say your retainer, what you want, and just say it, fully believe it, and then go say it to that person the exact same way.
Yeah.
I did that, I closed. And I was like, holy shit, there's something here.
You believed it. So.
I just had to believe it. It comes back to, it's basically an affirmation. Yeah. It's literally saying, price is $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And not beating yourself up if it's like, it's not going to work, no problem. that's you're fucking up. You know what I'm saying? Like you're
Yeah.
not growing your shit. That's not a reflection on me. You know what I'm saying?
It's
And
your value.
exactly.
It's not your cost. It's not your bill. It's your value. Your value that you've put on yourself that you feel is worth what you're providing is $2,500 a session or an hour or whatever it is. So if you believe that, that's going to come across in your body language and your tone and everything.
1000%, man.
So yeah, you got to figure it out.
Well, I wouldn't say I got it figured out, man, but I'm learning, and the one thing I will say, and coming back to what you were saying before about sales, is that I can strip everything else away, but being good at sales is recession proof. It's whatever proof. As long as you could do that, it's just a function of how many people you're gonna hit up, and then you could pay people to do any of the other things, right? And I think you've built a pretty successful business on that principle. Like you're not running a brokerage where it's a little bit more nuanced, or not a brokerage, but your own, like, you know, your own real estate firm where you have to manage all these different things. You've made it clear that your strength is the sales.
Yeah.
Right? And everything else can figure itself out. And obviously it requires a little bit of attention and delegating and outsourcing all this stuff, but you know what you're good at and you're leaning in on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to your, honing a skill, there's a debate I have with friends all the time. Is sales something you either have it or you don't, or is it something you can develop? And that even being in sales my whole life, that I don't know what the answer is. I don't think you're just born with it. I think that some people just seem like you could say that person will never get it. They're just not that type of personality. But I do think that skill can be honed. So you will, I think you're good at it now, but if that's your concern, you'll hone that skill.
Right.
And what it has to be is what's comfortable for you. You couldn't mimic what I do or what someone else does because it's not going to come across as natural. So you have to believe it has to be just your swagger and how you do it, and that's 100%. It works for you.
And I think like what you're really just saying is like literally be you. Like, don't try to be somebody else because it's never going to come off real and people will see right through it. Anybody who's ever done any kind of negotiation before will just destroy you because you're not even sure of yourself.
Yeah.
And that it all comes back to the mindset piece, man. Yeah. It all comes back to like actually having that confidence, actually having, being able to look in the mirror and actually believe what you're saying. And so I love that stuff, man. But let's switch gears a little bit and talk about how other ways that you take care of yourself. I know, I'll give a big shout out to Tony Greco, our mutual friend and your personal trainer. How long have you guys known each other, and what role has he played in your fitness journey and otherwise?
We've probably known each other a couple decades, but we've really intensely hung out, I don't know what it is, 8 years, I might be wrong on that. But just always had, obviously he's positive, but once we really sort of started working out together and hanging out, just a guy that brings, if I talk negative, he tunes me out. Yeah. I'm just like, oh shit, I went on the negative route. He's not listening to me. Yeah. Which I love. And he supported me more than anybody. I put him second to my mother in the acknowledgements. He pushes me. We collaborate. We'll do we might hit the road with these books. Who knows where this takes us. Yeah. But, one of the things in there is about surrounding yourself with greatness, which is an obvious thing you've heard a million times before. I have to tell you it's true because that becomes your new normal. So, and it's a subconscious thing. You're getting that through osmosis. All of a sudden, you've increased your lifestyle. Yeah. You're in a bigger home. Your mortgage is paid down. You've hit the milestone that you set for yourself for earning. Your next step is, well, everyone at the table seems to have a net worth. That's my new goal. These guys are a little older than me, but they've all sold companies or done well. So now my focus isn't on what I'm bringing in, but that's my vehicle. It's my net worth. But at the same time, what do we all talk about? The end game. When's it enough? When are we going to pull the plug and have beach houses together somewhere? So we travel together. We don't sit around and talk about money when we travel. We talk about life. We drink great wine. We tell they're the funniest guys. Yeah. I'm not with them to get something out of them financially. I'm drawn to everyone at the table successful. but everyone's hilarious in their own right. So,
Absolutely, man, and it's enjoying life.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta have some fucking fun with it. You gotta enjoy it as well.
otherwise,
right?
what's the point? For sure.
Exactly. It's a big thing. And leveling up the people you're around, that's one thing that, you know, I had to have a very tough discussion with myself as well, as like, who am I around?
It's the hardest thing.
Whether these people, these could be some of my, you know, you think are your closest friends.
Yeah.
These are like people you hang out with, these people you love, these people, are they bringing me up or are they bringing me down to their level?
Yeah, the best way to really notice, and there's times in my life where I thought, well, geez, if I shunned everyone that didn't wish me well, I wouldn't have any friends.
Yeah. Exactly.
but a lot of people don't wish you well, and why is that?
That's so
It's
weird.
just wrong. It's so apparent in so many people.
Yeah.
But why would you wish someone else? Like if you've caught yourself doing it, maybe you gotta flip that. It's the same as a coach or someone once said this. If you were, say, in a sales office and someone walks by that beats you every month, and you say, oh, there goes so-and-so, they'll probably get top salesperson again this month. Why are you giving them so much credibility? You don't even like them.
Yeah.
So why don't you flip that upon yourself? But if that person is winning at life, instead of hating them, maybe collaborate with them.
Yeah. No, that's something that I've had to kind of, you know, really do that audit and figure out, okay, like,
constant. Yeah.
What's, you know, is this person actually leveling me up? And then when you are around people who, you know, they force you to up your game just because this guy's fucking doing this, and this, and this, and he's younger than me.
Yeah.
And he's like, this company and that company making me feel lazy.
Yeah.
I need to be around that guy more. Because if he could do all this, and this, and this, I know I could too. But then when you're around, you know, other people who are like, oh no, let's grab a beer, let's kick it, let's do this and that. Like, oh, it's the weekend. Or like, you know the people like, and it's like, I love you, man, but no, I'm not gonna grab a beer. I got work to do. I got shit to do.
Yeah, and it's not to say that you know, you surpass someone so you drop them at the curb or anything.
No, that's not what it is.
But so people might mistake that. It's easy to say. I want to, you know, go in a little deeper with this. One of the best books I read was "You Were Born Rich." And what that does is it alleviates that misconception about money. Sometimes when I talk about money, I think, I don't want to talk about that too much. People think that's all I'm about. Money is a tool. That's all it is. So as soon as you could let that guilt associated with money go, wherever that came from, and realize it's a tool and has to be recycled back in society, it becomes like a breakthrough.
I had that breakthrough. And it was realizing that money is abundant. It's going to transfer hands regardless.
Yeah.
Why not get in the way of that? What's stopping you from getting in the way of that? And it is, like you said, it's programming. It's how society has kind of conditioned you. And me, I grew up with, you know, immigrant parents, you know, super into hard work. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with hard work, but if hard work equaled wealth, then construction workers and plumbers would all be multi-gajillionaires, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just not the equation. That's just not it. There's an abundance of wealth, money, and people, connection, relationships, positivity out there. It's just framing yourself for getting in the way of that and providing value to the world, and it will come. Like you said, money is a tool. That's one of the first things I learned from our friend Tony Greco. It's like, money is just a result. Like, don't worry about money. Do the thing that you need to do. Yeah. Work your ass off. No one's saying not to work your ass off. I mean, like, we can see, like, you work your ass off, but that's not the only part of the equation.
No.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Kind of wrapping up on TG there. One last thing I wanted to talk about in terms of training. What is it? What is it about training with Tony Greco that's different than any other kind of training you've done before? Any kind of, you know, workouts or any of that you've done before?
Yeah, good question. You've experienced it, I'm sure. So it's a mental thing as well. Just a zen, like working out outside behind his house in what we call the jungle, fire going, 8 in the morning. Just the whole process of it is, it's almost like I've talked about this on another podcast, almost like a spa experience.
Yeah.
You know, you're totally relaxed but totally energized at the same time.
It's a vibe.
So
I've been back there and I love it, man.
yeah. And you obviously train a lot, so you know we're programmed to do these what I call meathead workouts, like more weight, repetition, same thing over and over again. So I pound those out downstairs a couple times a week, and sometimes I think, oh no, I need to do a meathead workout, not train with Tony. But no, when I go there, he switches it, totally fucks me up, and I'm gassed, and my body's so pumped in such a different way. And all my small muscles, my like legs thrusting, like everything is just
because it's never
backwards.
the two same workouts.
Yeah,
it's never that he puts you through the exact same two, you know, workout programs, and it's always some crazy lunge to press, snatch, jump off this box. It's like your body's like, brother, what do you want me to do here?
Yeah.
And so that's how you grow. That's
but so good for the mind, as I'm sure you agree. I can go 2 days, but 3 days I'm not pleasant to be around. I need to get that in, because you can't take all this pressure and stress without having an outlet.
Absolutely.
And that outlet just grounds you, and you know, you don't feel like a broken down vehicle. You're rejuvenated. So
absolutely, man.
a must for me anyway. It's a must. Everyone has their thing. That's my thing. Working out and working has been the 95% of my life, which is maybe something I should change. But yeah, the hard work, like you were saying, that's an element. I have another mentor and friend of mine, Donald Abraham. He's all hard work, and he's done extremely well. But there is a happy medium. There is a you got to shut it off. You got to plan more. You know, you got organization. To me, is the key to any sort of balance.
Right. Love that, man. And kind of switching gears a little bit, something you mentioned earlier that I did want to talk about. What's the role of ego that you see and is probably you're surrounded by it when dealing in the industry that you're in? How's that like, how do you navigate that? How do you navigate people's ego? How do you navigate even your own ego? How do you keep things at bay? How do you keep everything in check?
I'm glad you asked. That's my new favorite word, ego, because that's what I'm reading about. That's what I'm focusing on. Ego is responsible for so many of our mistakes, really. If you were to insult me and I take it personally, it's actually my ego that got in the way because of how I perceive myself. So an example would be a lot of, you know, you watch these shows, $1 Million Agents, all that stuff, and these agents that get into the business get a little bit of a success. You can kind of fast track, get lucky, or hard work, whatever. You could get to like a pretty decent income pretty fast. And you can tell when someone's not used to success. And to me, that's all you're broadcasting to the world is, I just got a little bit of success and I'm totally not used to it. I don't know how to handle myself. So I'm arrogant as fuck. And that's total ego. And that just comes across all the time. And what I tell everyone, you know, in a real estate deal, it's never about us as the agent. But so many agents let their ego get in the way of the deal.
I did this.
Yeah.
I
what does this mean for me? How's this going to make me look? It's not about you.
No.
You're in there to facilitate the deal and make it happen.
Yeah.
You're not there to, you know, it's not for your name to be in lights or get recognition for it.
Right.
That's why you get paid well.
And what role do you think social media and all this, you know, this world that we live in now, you know, plays in that?
Huge. I mean, I'm bad at it. Social media, you have to do some stuff, but I don't agree in everyone doing the same thing. A lot of videos, people don't want to hear us talking. And like maybe come in, come out. That's my theory. And maybe I'm wrong. I just think that, be real.
Yeah.
Don't be like everyone else. Portray yourself as real. A self-deprecating person is someone I want to be around. Someone that's just winning all the time, like Harvey Specter. He gets on my nerves on Suits. Like lose the fight, get punched out, like something. You can't be good at everything, Harvey.
That's true. That's true. You need to kind of have that in check. You need to be checked sometimes. You got to be brought back down to earth. And I think that's an important trait to have. And you know, just being humble, a little bit more humble. And a lot of people talk about being humble. It's kind of a funny like play, because some of the people who talk about being humble the most are the least humble people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
It's so great to see sometimes someone just like, oh yeah, I love doing this and this and this for this organization, this charity, and this and that, and it's like, oh, I get it now. It's like that's for you.
Yeah.
That's not
Do
for,
it quietly. Don't tell the rest of the world.
Exactly. It's
But,
like you've seen those videos of people give like a homeless person like $10,000 or something,
Yeah.
and it's just like, yeah, you had to make a video of it, didn't you? You had to show the entire world that you gave. And there's arguments both ways. Some people think, oh, it's a positive thing. You got to show the world. But to me, it's like, if you really wanted to just do some great, just give the homeless person $10,000.
Yeah, don't
make a
broadcast
thing
it.
out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And it's okay. I mean, be honest. Everyone likes a compliment.
Oh yeah.
I was just telling you earlier how a compliment from a client could make your day.
Absolutely.
Or even save you that week from quitting.
Yeah.
But my sister, again, I mentioned, who works for me, of course, because I'm her brother, and my girlfriend thinks this too, I'm sure. I just put myself on a couple billboards, so they're like, "Oh, here he goes again, a life-size photo of himself
I
coming
saw
in."
it driving in, Chris. I wanted to make a
So I have fun with it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put a blinking light on my tooth, So, but why not? I mean, am I really that full of myself? No. Do I have to put myself out there? Yeah, I can't be famous hiding behind a tree. I gotta make it happen. I gotta be Mr. Personality, but at the same time, sometimes it's embarrassing, sometimes it's not. Everyone's going to judge you, but in this world, everyone's going to judge you anyway. Just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Go for it.
This is a conversation I was having with a good friend of mine, and it was not about necessarily the billboards, but something a little bit more in my domain now, which is like the social media, the TikTok and the Instagram and all this kind of shit. And it's this balance that we talk about there, right? It's like, how much do you want to show people, look what I'm up to, look what I'm doing, this and that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, be cool about it. Like, it's not like, look at me. It's like, well, this is what I'm doing. Check it out. Maybe you could do it too. Maybe we could do it together. And that's such a small, there's a fine line between those two things. But I think if you do more of this, people will see. And once they get to know you, oh, he's not like a full of himself douchebag who just only cares about himself.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people think that.
I'm sure they do, right? But like, when you actually boil it down, when I sit across from you, I actually see a very humble guy. I see a guy who's not overstating anything that he's doing. He's not like, come look at this, like check this shit out, blah, blah, blah. You're just like, yeah, man, like I actually want to help people. And, we've got this book to prove it, where you actually want to help people get to where you've gotten, and you get pretty deep in there, man. You talk about some really personal and emotional things. So why don't we give people a little bit of a sample of that? I know you're very close with your mother. Why don't we talk about that story that you were once telling me about? I think people should hear about that.
Sure. Yeah, my mom is a career artist, so she always struggled with money, and that's what I grew up in. Parents were divorced. My dad was the polar opposite, came from wealth, exuded wealth, well-dressed, always in a suit, probably responsible for some of my, whatever I'm going through now. But I took the best from both. I like to think we're all messed up at some point from our childhood, but my mom gave me confidence. So I owe my mom everything. I give her everything I can, and I'm going to keep increasing it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel, that's not out of that doesn't come from any other place than, how could I live a life if she doesn't live a similar one, or my mom's pretty low key, but she, in the 80s, I talk about her friends and the dinner parties, and that's why I got into cars. I mean, I think I was born loving cars, but her friends were high flyers with these cool cars, and I just would watch them. I was supposed to be in bed, but I was listening, and they were having a good time. And, when I turned 40, they would message me, and they're more like in their 70s, and they'd say, I can't believe you're 40. And I'd say to them, yeah, it's great, but it seemed like you guys were having a better time. so that just kind of gave me a forecast of what I wanted. So it's I remember as a kid being a bit of a daydreamer. And then, sometimes you get a deja vu in life, and I'm living the exact moment that I daydreamed about as a kid. And it's like, there's definitely a connection here. There's definitely a reason.
Full circle like that. Yeah. Wow, man.
So
That's awesome, man. And then, tell us about buying your mom a car. Talk to us about that.
I didn't post that on Instagram or anything, but that was a nice feeling. My mom loves BMWs, and she had bought herself one, a used one, and I noticed that she loved the brand, and it kind of gave her a little more dignity in the sense that she got that for herself and she loved it. But one day I moved it out of my driveway, and I had two ridiculous cars in the driveway, and I couldn't even see out of it. I had to scrape the window from the inside, and the headlights were dim. So I thought, I can't let my mom drive this car anymore. So I brought her down to the dealership, to a BMW dealership, and she thought I was just buying another car. So I put her in this car. I said, what do you think? Do you like it? She said, oh, I love this car. And then she focused on that car, same color, everything. And I had the same car in the showroom, in the drive-through with a bow on it. And I just said, yeah, I think the same car's over there. And then she sat in again. But we had it all planned out. Sales guy was great. And then I said, yeah, I think someone's getting this for Christmas. Wouldn't that be great? And she's like, oh, yeah, that'd be great. So I hand her the key. She starts bawling.
Oh,
and she wouldn't even drive it home. And then she called me the next day and said, was that a joke? And I was like, no, Mom, I wouldn't joke about this. But
that'd be a cruel joke.
That highlight, I can't remember any feeling of buying my own cars that gave me that, but that's what life's all about. So as cliche as that might sound, whether you're doing that for your parents or you're doing it for someone who, the chapter in here is sending the elevator back down, if someone got into real estate and I was a catalyst to their success in any way, that's what I think will replace my rush of the deal. So if I go the brokerage route and I filter myself out of sales, my rush is now going to be other people's success and helping them close a deal and getting their career going.
I could see that, man. I could definitely see that being, the second act.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah,
like,
for
you
sure.
know what? Like, I did it all now, check those boxes. Now it's how can I help others do the same thing? Yeah. And I think, I heard this quote once and it stuck with me. It was like, the mark of a true leader is one who makes leaders. Yeah. And that stuck with me, man. It's like, I want to do that. I'm in no position to do that right now. But whoever I'm around, I want to level them up. And even in my capacity that I can now, why not level up together? It's not a zero-sum game. It's not because Chris is winning, I'm losing. Yeah. Let's win together.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
We also touched on something where you almost limited yourself and said, I'm in no place to do that. You're totally in a place to do it.
Fair.
You just don't realize it yet. But I did it too. The book, I said, I don't have a book in me. I haven't got there yet.
That's true.
And it was Tony and the publisher that said, you are there. But then you compare yourself to someone's here. And there's still, as we're talking about, I figure, is someone going to watch this that's, done this year after year more successfully than me? And they're like, who's this kid? Of course. But if I have something to give now, I always thought if, say Tony and I were doing a talk and someone thought, geez, I'm not going to sell, 13 gyms and turn a $10,000 loan into $10 million. It's just too daunting. It's like Grant Cardone's 10X. It's too big for some people. Well, I could come in, whether I'm warming up the crowd or I'm the second act, and say, this is achievable. And I was there. Like, I'm not out here to say, it's not 8 figures to success. Making 7 figures is actually a lot more possible than people think. And anyone could do it.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad you caught me there with that head trash, because it's true.
Yeah, because people look up to you, and you could totally pass that on now.
Absolutely, man. And that's something that, again, I got to remind myself, because I even get caught up in, but then what's next? And what's that next level? And how can I keep elevating? But no, absolutely. Like, even in podcasting, even in this and that, why can't I? Why can't I help people? 100%. And even conversations like this, people are going to see that. And I get fired up when people I talk to who are like, yo, man, how do I start this, that? And they go and start and they do this
Flattering,
thing. Dude, I get these DMs now from people who are like, yo, man, listen to your podcast every week and started my own company. Like,
crazy.
Yo, just quit my job. Yo, doing this. It's like breaks my brain open, and it's super humbling. But you're right, man. You can make an impact at any level you're at any stage in your life. And that's why I'm really excited to, shared this book with people, man. Like, where can people find it? Talk to us about that.
Well, that was another thing. So it took forever to come out. That was
Yeah.
a real issue. And then the pandemic, I can't blame it on that. It was, I don't know, 2 years behind. I've lost track. But the beauty in it is, again, just how life works out, how we were saying, and it just is amazing sometimes. When it was done, I didn't hit my goal, you know? So I felt like a little bit of a phony. I was like, geez, I didn't make it that year that I'm writing. I say in the end, ask me if I made it. I was on track, but anything can happen. I had a great year, and if it stopped there, the book would have been responsible for kicking my ass. Not that I was ever a slouch, but then I started following my own advice. Then I just kept doing it, and then I surpassed the goal. And then the book all of a sudden was ready. So it was like, oh, the book's done. And I kept editing it and taking stuff out and finding mistakes in it. And then all of a sudden it's ready just in time, like at the best timing possible.
That's not a coincidence, dude. That's you putting that out into the universe.
Yeah, and it even started, I remember that group with Tony and the guys, we were at a resort or a villa we rent in Dominican. And I had been there and a few new guys were on the trip, so they were taking them around. I said, I'm going to stay here today. I'm going to write.
Yeah.
And I wrote the majority, or got the sort of meat and potatoes of the book done there. So I was writing in this lawn chair in this beautiful resort overlooking the ocean and a golf course. Wrote on a yellow pad, and it was just flowing out of me. And I had it in this, like all the papers were still together. I threw it on the slate tile and I passed out in the sun. And when I woke up, the one sprinkler on this multi-acre lot had just trickled down and blown up that yellow pad into like 3 times the size, and it was soaking wet. And I just, you have these moments where you say like, oh my God, I did all that and that happened. Like, I'm not meant to write this book. There's too many challenges.
Yeah.
So then I took all the pages off one by one. I put it on the hot stones in the sun. And after about an hour, everything was dry and legible. And then on to the next, and I just kept going.
Dude.
So there were so many impeding factors that would make me think, the cost of it, everything was just crazy.
It just speaks to the type of person you are, man. Constantly overcoming these obstacles, and I think like that's kind of a recurring theme that I see, and that's kind of your overarching philosophy. But don't let me put those words in your mouth. You tell me, kind of to end off this podcast a little bit, what is your philosophy for life? What does Chris LaCharity stand by, and what are things you won't waver on? LaCharity.
Thanks. Yeah, good question. It happens all the time, like the obstacles that face us, but you're never going to not learn. You're never going to get to the day where it's just easy street. So
that would suck anyway. That'd be boring.
It would be boring. So instead, I could fall into this more easier than anyone. I want everything to go smooth and right all the time. So don't get all worked up about it, because that's 90% of the energy. Just tackle the problem.
Yeah.
And it'll always, you're never going to run a perfect tight ship. It's always things are going to fall off. Don't lose your mind. If you lose your temper, which I'm capable of doing, you feel 10 times worse after.
Yeah, you do.
And you didn't get your point across anyway. Yeah. So that's a constant reminder for me.
And you usually say shit that you don't mean, and then you gotta backpedal, and then you gotta apologize.
Yeah,
it's just
that becomes
the situation for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, so I talk about that in the book, overcoming obstacles. I mean, that's just a life thing. It never. Yeah. With tremendous success comes tremendous responsibility.
Right.
I mean, we all say to the person who's way above us, why aren't they sitting on a beach? Well, they're responsible for all kinds of people now.
Yeah.
So their life just got more complicated. So it's easy for us to judge. People judge me all the time. Why do you always work? When's it enough? What do you mean, when's it enough? At no point do you ever feel like, I've got so much that I don't have to worry.
Yeah.
You have taxes, you have responsibilities, your bills increase. And you do, like I said, you feel like you're a flash in the pan. So you want to build a bit of a nest egg in case the pandemic, the second wave, isn't so good for real estate, right?
Yeah, man. And kind of a big thing, like my big takeaway there from what you said is like, your problems, like, they're always going to be problems.
Yeah.
It's how you view them. You know what I'm saying? You could view a something blowing up, something falling apart, your fucking book that you just wrote getting water spilled on, you could view that as a sign from the universe in a negative way. And I'm done. Or you can flip that around and be like, you know what, this is just going to make the story even better. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
This is just a better story to tell when I'm on the It's Not That Deep podcast. I'm going to have some funny shit to say.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So, yeah, man, I love it, man. I'm really glad. I'm sure we went a little bit over time, but this is just so fun. It's great to chat with you. I want people to pick up this book, 7 Figures to Success. Where can they find it?
So 7 Figures to Success, 7figurestosuccess.com. You can order it. You can reach out to me in any way. If you can't or don't want to buy something online, I understand. I'll get you the book.
Okay, sweet. And where can people find you online?
You could, ChrisLaCharity.com. I have all kinds of domains, but I won't hit you with all those. You can find just Chris LaCharity on Google, you'll find me.
Awesome.
And LaCharity is spelled like LaCharity, but pronounced LaCharity.
I learned that the hard way today, folks.
Common.
It's been incredible having you on the podcast,
likewise.
man.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you inviting us here to your beautiful home and having such a great chat, man. I think it's the first of many, though. I don't think.
I think so too.
I don't think we're done, man.
This is the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, and you have so much to bring to the table. I feel we could dive deep into any of these topics. We just lightly touched on them, but we didn't even get into chapters or anything. But it's that the whole to wrap it up in a nice bow. It's not about the money. The problems will come. Money is a nice thing to eliminate a lot of problems, but it doesn't answer everything. But motivation. It's a motivational book, but also if I could write it again today, I would probably add to the end game why you're doing it, what's it all for, and what's your purpose. So the way you're thinking now at your age, the world's your oyster.
I really appreciate that, man. And for sure, we could have dove into the chapters of the book, but you know what?
Sure.
It's not that deep, maybe. We touched the surface of a lot of things, but man, I'm very excited to have this chat with you. Really appreciate it. And for those listening, just remember, it's not that deep. Thank you.